All right, good evening and welcome to another edition of The Way We See It, special 2-hour edition tonight. We're running a little bit late tonight. I have new equipment here and I had to get it on. So just getting familiarized with a brand new desktop computer here that I have from HP and got it all set up and ready to go. My co-host, Bill Canatta. Billy, welcome to the program.
Brother, always thank you for having me. Listeners and viewers, thanks for tuning in.
All right. I got to push this back just a bit. There we go. All right. Still getting familiarized with the new equipment, but we're getting there. All right. Tonight we have a special guest by phone, Tony Moreno. He'll be joining us around the 6:30 time, somewhere between 6:30 and 6:45. I forgot to mention that on the heading tonight. But also, we're going to be playing audio all night long of what I call the greatest hits of Ed Gainey and the greatest hits of and some city council, Pittsburgh City Council audio involving the Chris Ragland resignation. So, all right, being that we're first of all, we're going to start with the Chris Ragland stuff first, and then we'll get into the Ed Gainey stuff later on. But first, we're going to do that. And as I mentioned, around 6:30, 6:45, it's going to be Tony Moreno will join us by phone, and that's going to be a great time with him as well. All right, first, Bill, let's get started here. I want everyone to listen here to this conversation with this is Pittsburgh City Council. Here we go.
It was not against the mayor. And I don't want to see.
This is Teresa Kell Smith, councilwoman.
I know a lot of people that during a political time and during a political season, people are going to use this to attack the mayor or to attack an opponent or whatever. I don't think that that's fair to anybody at this time. I really don't. I think that if you really want to keep public safety and you really want to keep people safe, it should be focused on who could do this job. How can we keep Pittsburghers safe? And how can we make officers feel valued and want to stay with the Bureau so that Pittsburghers are safe and officers are safe on the streets? And so I actually resent this even becoming part of a political battle on either side, because I think public safety merits, more respect from the city council and from any elected official and from people, who are candidates. With that said, I will say that I think we reached an agreement with the community on what they wanted, even though Councilman Coghill thought it should be less meetings. He did get them to agree that it would be done, the process would be done by the end of March, using our safety councils. So there was a process in place. Then we went and we met with Chief Ragland, Councilman Coghill, Councilman Charlton, and myself met with Chief Ragland, acting Chief Ragland, Assistant Chief Devine, the Public Safety Director.
Okay. Now, what Teresa Kell Smith is talking about here is the fact that they admit that they got involved in this situation with Chief Chris Ragland. Okay. And in one perspective, I really don't blame them, because the reason I say I don't blame them is because this is about public safety here, folks. And not only is it just about public safety, and I think Bill will agree with me on this. I'm going to have him chime in on this as well. But you know what? It's not just about public safety. It's about not getting burned. You ever participate in a bad investment, or somebody robbed you, or someone stole money from you or something like that? Like me, I got burned from the bank. I got burned from somebody who hacked my account last week. So what do you think I'm going to do? I'm going to do some safety things. I'm going to watch what I do. So city council now because they got burned out of $90,000 from Larry Sherrod, are trying to be careful here. But the way this was done, I think perhaps city council really did no wrong, because what they were trying to do was dot the I's and cross the T's. Bill, what do you think about this?
Yeah, brother, like I said, there's always something in the background. You know what I mean? Coming forward with all that and attacking Ed Gainey. I mean, I agree with her on that, but yet on the other hand, everybody's just chiming in and beating him down. And I'll say it again. All of a sudden, 2025 come rolling around, and then all this stuff coming out. All this,
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. But see, here's the thing that really bothers me about this. And again, I have to defend city council on this because they got burned too many times. They were trying to set up these 6 meetings, those community meetings. They were trying to, I guess, dictate to Chris Ragland as to who he could hire for his assistant chiefs. And it was even said, according to what he said and what the mayor said, and I'm not sticking up for the mayor here, but actually the mayor's right, that the city council was trying to dictate to him who he should hire for chiefs. And they're listen to the rest of this conversation here, everybody. We're playing audio today from the city council standing committee meeting on Wednesday, the day after last Tuesday's Chris Ragland resignation, which we're going to talk a little more about tonight. We have Tony Moreno coming on around 6:30, and he's going to break this down for us a little bit. But here's city council, their standing committee meeting, talking about how they sat down with the chief and they said that they wanted certain officers or certain people to be his assistants and not letting him approve who he wanted. Now, from what I hear, from what I'm told, is that the people that he wanted to have as his assistant chiefs were not qualified, okay? And that these people that there was recommended with the meeting with Bob Charlin, Teresa Kill-Smith, and Anthony Coghill, the secret meeting they had, they said if you put these, I don't know if this was said, but according to what I'm told, that this was said that if you put these people in here, we will vote for you for mayor. Or I'm sorry, for chief, because you have to have all 9 votes of city council in order for the chief to be put in there. All right, here's the rest of this meeting. I'm gonna pause it a little bit and get some comment from Bill, and you can welcome your comments as well. The Chris Ragland debacle, he stepped down. He has resigned from Pittsburgh City Council. I just want to let everyone know tonight. I don't have a camera here because I have new equipment. And somehow or another, I got lied to by HP. They told me there was a camera on this computer when I bought it, and there isn't, and I have to go buy one. So obviously, that's why you can't see my face tonight. But I have new equipment, and Bill here, and I want to thank him for this, set up my new studio here. So, I have new equipment, new studio and all. We're in the Mata Heating and Air Conditioning Studio, 724-2010-500. We're up here in Studios 808 up in the Allentown section of the city of Pittsburgh as well. If you are handicapped as I am, and this segment is brought to you by Keystone Coachworks, go visit Keystone Coachworks out there on Library Road, Route 88. Talk to Dawn. Tell Dawn Ralph Williams sent you. 412-833-1900. I tell you what, they will put the van together for you the way you want it. They put a van together for me the way I want it, and I'm happy with my van. So they also have financing available as well. 412-833-1900, Keystone Coachworks. Okay, let's get back to some more of the City Council Standing Committee meeting last Wednesday.
And during that meeting, we made a lot of comments about what we thought should happen. My only comment was there are a lot of officers that feel very disrespected and feel very much attacked by what's happening. And it may be the way you talk to people, and you, even though it may not be in your heart or in your mind, it's the way it's coming across. And so because there was so much of that feeling, we said, could there be somebody who could talk more to the officer and deal with the officer part of it, and yet somebody who could he could oversee all those efforts and the policies and things that need to be done with the Bureau. Is there a way we can?
Okay, now I'm going to stop it here. There's a key point in what Teresa Kill-Smith said. he was having trouble getting along with the personnel of the Pittsburgh Police Department. And Bill, let me ask you a question. Did I not say that I heard stories that this man, Chief Ragland, had a problem getting along with people? Am I right?
You're 100%.
I found out
Yes. All right. And I understand that, Chief Ragland here has a problem getting along with people. He's more of a behind the scenes kind of guy, which is what he was doing until Ed Gainey had him do the downtown patrols, which laid an egg on Saturday. And we'll get into that later on with Tony Moreno. You don't want to know about what happened on Saturday. 75 youth downtown ran all over downtown and caused all kinds of problems. Robbed businesses through bricks or whatever, through people's business windows. 6 police were dispatched, and that was it. This was a total bad thing that happened on Saturday for that stupid festival that the city planning decided to have to get you ready for spring and to try to boost up business downtown with no safety. So, there we are again, another stain or another egg on Ed Gainey's face. All right, Bill, any comments about this Saturday thing before we move on?
No, that's the first time I heard about it. 6 police officers trying to cover. Yeah, I don't know. Okay. Brother, that's sad. I mean, it really is. I mean, I get we're short staffed all the way around, but if you're having that come through, wouldn't you be prepared in advance?
Yes, exactly. Usually when they have events, they have, well, I'm sorry. They don't have the mounted police anymore. They got rid of that. And then now they only were able to find 6 officers to respond. I want to know why somebody didn't call the SWAT team and get them down there. What have I said before, Bill? And nobody likes it, but I do. I think it's time for the National Guard to come in here and take over. That's my thoughts.
Absolutely. You got it, bro.
Take over public safety. I'm sorry. I mean, all right, let's play a few more of these, and then about 15 minutes or so, we'll get ready for Tony Moreno. All right, here's some more with Teresa Kell Smith.
To a compromise here where everybody could work together and not lose any additional officers. With that said, nobody in that meeting that I was in, nobody in that meeting said that they wanted an assistant chief. So on the way out, the chief, one of the things people said to us is he'll drop a bomb and he'll do something. So I felt like he did that on the way out the door and made all this insinuations. And I'm just going to tell you, that was not part of the meeting I was in. I didn't hear anybody say they want this person or that person specifically for a chief. What I did hear them say, and I know what I said, is I want you to be able to work with people. They feel very much attacked. And if you think this is political, I have lots of comments that can talk about this and how the politics that were involved in picking.
All right, Bill, your thoughts on what she just said here.
Brother, I want to hear a little bit more. So why don't you go ahead and play that? Let me go ahead and gather that, and then I'll comment on the second part of this.
Okay, we're on a special 2-hour edition of The Way We See It. We welcome everyone tonight. The reason you don't see my face is because I have new equipment and I have to buy a camera. I have a camera, but I have to get it. I'm going to get a new one. I have one ordered for this. Thanks to Billy here, my co-host. He was able to set my new studio up. Thank you very much, Bill, for that.
Anytime,
I really appreciate you setting this up. And I got a nice, big, huge computer screen here I can see now because I have bad eyes and right now. So, all right, let's get back to this. But these are tidbits from Wednesday's city council meeting talking about the resignation of Chief Chris Ragland. Now, there's all kinds of blame going around. And I want to tell you this, folks. Myself and Tony Moreno, we do a show every Saturday morning on AM 1250, The Answer, called the Ralph Williams and Tony Moreno Show. Oh, I'm sorry, that's the wrong banner. There we go. All right. Okay, here we are. Okay, we have here's the banner right here. We're on every single Saturday morning for this, and we have we have been blamed. I've actually received emails. People are blaming us because Tony came on and told the truth about what's going on with about Chief Chris Ragland. He came on and said a whole bunch of things. And here's the problem I have with this. Nobody can handle the truth. That's the whole problem here. No one can handle this. All right. All right, we have some comments here. Let's go in the section here. Jeff Wilmer says, hi, everybody. Hello, Jeff. Thank you for being part of the program. Much appreciated. Or Jill, I'm sorry. Wow, geez, Jill. I'm sorry. I gotta put my glasses on here. There we go. Jill, thank you, Jill, for participating in the program. All right, so it's so Saturday, this Saturday, we will have Chief Derek Turner. He will be joining us from the Mon Valley Regional Police Department, and he'll be telling us a little bit about the new Mon Valley Police Department, Regional Police Department. It's a merger of a bunch of little towns. Okay, let's get back into this, and then we're going to be welcoming Tony Moreno real soon, and we'll have some more for you. Tonight, it's Ed Gainey's greatest hits. Wait till you hear some of the stuff that Ed Gainey said over the course of the last couple of weeks. Just recently, calling our DA, Steven Zapala, a racist. All right, let's get back to the council meeting.
Over the past few chiefs. So if you really want to have this conversation, we'll have it, but we're going to have it very publicly. But I think this piece of legislation needs to put in the process in place that we told the community we would do. Those meetings, and I think we need to strike the part about extending the acting chief.
Wow.
That piece. I think that's it. That's what we have to do. So I'd like to hold this for 1 week till we get those amendments in place.
Thank you. Councilperson Charland.
Yeah, I very much agree with Councilwoman Cale Smith's comments there, and her recollection of the event. It is really a shame that we are not going to move forward with Chief Ragland. I had been on the community meeting circuit, making sure that everyone was aware that the chief would be coming to the Zone 3 public safety meeting. I was very concerned with how the chief was going to interact with the public. I thought that was very important. And if our doing that somehow made the chief walk away, then maybe he wasn't the right person for the job. If he wasn't willing to meet with the community, go to the regular zone public safety councils, which I believe that a chief should be doing with somewhat frequency anyway. So knowing that if that is the thing that scared him away, then I don't think this was the right person or the right role. Maybe he should have stayed in the assistant chief role to begin with.
Okay, did you hear that, Bill? Your thoughts on what Councilman Charland said?
I mean, that's true. I mean, it's like having a DJ at your wedding, but you're not going to interact with people.
Right, exactly. But, if you look at the key word that Charland said here, and I agree with this, and then Councilman Coghill later on as we go through this meeting here,
the right person
will also bring up, and he said he didn't think that if Chris Ragland, if this was a problem for him with these meetings and meeting with city council and some other and taking recommendations for assistance, then maybe he wasn't cut for the job. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And, so go ahead, Bill.
No, I'm just saying, I agree with you, brother, because, I mean, cops, period. Doesn't matter who you are, FBI, undercover, doesn't matter. But, if you're not going to mix well with the public, then yes, you really need to. I mean, that's just, or either that or stay on as a cop and then, push pens back in your desk instead of, being face to face with the public.
Yeah, Jill said he stepped down because he was being told how to do his job. He had his own way of changing things, and that's why he stepped down. Oh. Absolutely, Jill, that is true.
I believe that he was. I mean, if you look at that one, which I know we're getting to, but where Gainey said, how do you like? Say hello, Rick said. It felt like he put a lot of pressure on Ragland. I mean, it looked like he was very uncomfortable on that press conference.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, he did, and I saw his face there. He did look uncomfortable there. I think he was getting shoved into something that he probably didn't want. And then with all this politics with Ed Gainey right now and some of the stuff that's going on with Mayor Gainey, I believe that he also stepped away too, because I think there's some things going on. And some of the stuff that Tony brought up on the radio show about a few weeks back when we did the Chris Ragland story like we did here and had the best viewed show on YouTube. in the history of the way we see it. We had well over 100 people that viewed this program because of that statement by Tony Moreno and everything he said, because everything he did say is not a lie. It's the truth. So, all right, let's go into a few more minutes of this, and then Tony Moreno will be joining us shortly by phone. All right, here we go.
I do want to say that, hearing some of the remarks that have been made in the media yesterday about how council behaved here, which, I was in those meetings. There were multiple witnesses in those meetings. Everything was, all about concern to make sure that the community's process was heard and the council could make the most informed decision here. If the mayor wants to claim that there was an ethical dilemma in what happened here, I encourage him, put your money where your mouth is and put an ethics complaint in. I think all members that were involved would be welcome to see that. It's not, nothing here happened that was inappropriate. We just wanted the community process there. We thought their voice was important. And, I would expect that same process no matter who the chief is. And, excited to see what we do moving forward here. Thank you.
Thank you. First round, Council Member Warwick.
Yeah, thank you. I was going to save my remarks till the end, but I guess we're doing it now, so that's fine. I just want to say that in his 4 months as acting chief, Chris Ragland worked with council members, including myself, on programs and policies that residents have been asking for from the Bureau for a very long time. He was a champion of our Vision Zero initiative to eliminate traffic deaths in the city, and had recently launched a dedicated neighborhood policing program focused on traffic violation hotspots to raise awareness and change reckless and distracted driving behaviors. Regarding his appointment to become chief, he was more than happy to talk with community members about his work and vision for the force. I know this because over the past month, he has come to community meeting after community meeting in my district, bringing officers from Zone 4 and answering resident questions and concerns. When asked by a number of our Black political leadership organizations to have a town hall, he was happy to oblige. That is when members of this body got involved. Members who we know had been planning for weeks to slow this appointment down as much as possible. One town hall became 6, and ultimately the prospect of confirmation was pushed weeks and then months away, possibly until after May, undermining Ragland's ability to lead the Bureau and fully implement policies and programs that our residents were asking of him. At the end of the day.
Okay, Bill, what's your thoughts? Barb Warwick's comments here.
So, defending the chief, I get all that. That's understandable. I mean, we, the guy's doing what the job he was put up to do. But you still got to, just keep reaching back about the comment we heard. Maybe he's not the right man for the right job, because he doesn't pick up her. But she is, and I get all that stuff, what she said about, charities and so forth like that, and town hall meetings and everybody being there. But the thing is,
right.
Do you think you really wanted to? We're not there. We're not there, but do you think you really wanted to? Because the uncomfortableness, of course, GAINEY did push, say thank you, Rick. Say thank you, Rick. And it just kept saying it. But then he looked like he was pushing to a course. So I'm just seeing that running over and over and over in my mind. I mean, I understand. I'm sure he's probably did a lot of good, of course. So there's always the boat of the 50-50 all the way.
Right. Okay. Our guest right now by phone is Tony Moreno. Tony, welcome to the program.
Hey, Ralph, what's going on?
Oh, not much. Say hello to Bill Canatta, my co-host.
Hey, Bill, how are you, brother?
Hey, Kumpy, I'm good. How about you?
Any better, I'd be in heaven. Life is good.
There you go. That's it. That's it.
All right. Tony Moreno is brought to you in part by today by Robin Campbell Insurance, 412-366-3399. Call Robin Campbell Insurance today. Get a life, renters, auto, home, any kind of insurance you need. Give Robin a call. He's the best in the business. He will come to your house. I mean, there's no emails and swapping phone calls. This man will actually come to your house and sit down with you and explain everything to you in detail. He does it the old-fashioned way, and he still does it right. Robin Campbell, Farmers in Bristol West Insurance, 366-3399. All right, Tony, we were dissecting the city council meeting on Wednesday after the Chris Ragland resignation. I don't know if you watched it or not, or if you were listening in right now that we're playing some of this audio, and I'm going to continue throughout the show to play some of it. And we got Ed Gainey's greatest hits coming up as well. We're here till 8 o'clock. Tony, your thoughts on all this?
Yeah, well, as you know, Ralph, from you and I talking, I've been intimately involved with all of this, and I'm not surprised by any of it. There's a legal action coming forward, and Chris Ragland, no longer Chief Ragland. Chris Ragland is dead smack dab in the middle of all of it. And ultimately, I know people are saying there were things that happened and demands, and he promotes somebody and he didn't feel comfortable about it. His morals and all the blah, blah, blah you just heard have absolutely nothing to do with what really happened. I mean, Teresa Kale Smith talks about it. She says, I don't know what the big deal is. We talk about this with all the things that we do with the police department. Who's going to get promoted? They asked very clearly, like, who are you going to surround yourself with? And from their mouths, they said they were only bringing these things up because of the problems they have been seeing and hearing inside of the police department, that they want strong leadership. When in actuality, there are these criminal actions that are happening. And because Chief Ragland was he was in charge of the Office of Municipal Investigations. That's our internal investigations in the police department. And that's where all these issues come from. On top of it, when I spelled it out on the what'd we call it, Ralph? The Chris Ragland story?
Yeah, the Chris Ragland story. Absolutely.
Yeah, I broke it down a couple weeks ago on the Chris Ragland story on exactly the things that he was involved with. And it's not hyperbole. And I'm not just pulling it out of the hat that this might happen or it could be happening. These are all documented incidences, and the involvements are very clear. And now the end result you see are all these very important people in the GAINEY administration resigning or not being retained and being asked to leave. It's because there's a lot of heavy stuff coming down on that administration, and the prospect of going before the community, getting sworn in, and having to answer these questions that I was putting in everybody's minds to make sure they asked them, because he's going to be under oath. He knew he wasn't going to be able to answer them because of the investigations he is involved with. He's being sued civilly through a civil rights violation. He's involved with the commander who was wiretapping his officers. These are all issues that have to be transparent, and there has to be accountability to them. And instead of answering the questions, he decided to quit.
Well, you know what? I think he just basically said, I'm done. I'm not going to answer these questions. I'm not going to do any of this stuff. Bill, what's your thoughts on what Tony had to say?
I mean, nailed all kind of points on that too. And that was another thing he brought up too about, on GAINEY's side, everybody, stepping down. Like I told you earlier, Ralph, before, and I think it was a day or so ago, we were talking about it. I just think it's, very suspicious that how everybody on his side is stepping down. And just like Tony said a few minutes ago, something's going to be boiling it, and it's happening. It's starting to brew in the background.
Oh,
and
yeah, absolutely.
Not only on top of that, I'm going to tell you, and Ralph, I know I said this before, and I'll say it again. He's been caught. He's been burnt. And once he's been burnt, I think that's the reason why, for all the attitude, him jumping on Rick Earl like he did, calling Steven Zappala a racist, and everything else that's going to come out in these next couple of months, Watch. Just watch. I don't even think he's.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Tony.
no, that's you're right. You're right on the button, Bill. Hey, that reaction is a lashing out, last minute cry for death reaction. Like he knows the end is near. So now he's trying to shape the narrative going forward. If you listen to what he says, let's take everything that we know out of it and just put the words into context. I've been a target all my life. I called the district attorney racist to his face. They've been taking all the money from us and I'm just taking it back. The developers are coming in and taking all our and I'm taking it back. So what I hear through an investigative lens is I've been taking money from the developers that's supposed to have been going into my community. I've been taking it back and the racist DA caught me and now I'm being charged. And all the white mayors before me have been doing this same exact thing, but you're targeting me because I'm black. And that's exactly what he's laying out right now. And that's because he has recently found out, we can almost trace him by his emotional, physical reactions to things. Go to the 14th Ward debate. He was so cool. He was so smooth, sitting back of his chair, charming the crowd, answering the questions very enthusiastically and confidently. Now, fast forward to this, I'll use my meeting that I spoke at with him in Carrick. I put it on my live feed. I answered questions. We went through the process. I exited the room. He came in and within 5 minutes, he was yelling at the crowd. The crowd was screaming at him to the point where two council people, Coghill and Teresa Smith, left the meeting. That people just started exiting because he was yelling at them, and it was a drastic difference. So when we see that, we notice that there's something really wrong. And when you listen to Ralph and I's show, I can play that out for you, what's happening and how it happened, and now why you're seeing what you're seeing.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And thank you, Tony, for that. And Bill, what do you have to add to that?
You know, before Tony jumped in there, this is what it is. Because Ralph, you know, we knew Ed for quite a while. Tony, I'm probably sure you
Yes,
knew
we have.
longer. I knew Ed when he was, city council president and all, or city council, and
Okay.
so we knew him back in the day and how he would sit. Like the one time, my aunt's water bill was so high, we went down. He said, "Don't worry about it. We'll take care of it. Take care of it." But now he's doing all this, and I told Ralph this before, Tony, and I'll say it again: is that wow? All of a sudden, you didn't hear anything at the beginning, or maybe they were just building the case against him, and then all of a sudden, 2025 come, the dam broke, and I think just like you said earlier, let's blame it on everybody else, cover everything else up, but not me.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I agree with you on that, Bill and Tony. I agree with what you're saying. And we're here today, here at the way we see it, special 2-hour edition with me, Ralph Williams, Bill Canatta. We're here every Monday, 7 to 8 p.m. But tonight we started at 6, special 2-hour edition. Breaking news: my lovely wife came on and told me Kenny Pickett has been traded from the Philadelphia Eagles. I'll have more details for you about this tomorrow on the Sports Corner show with me, Ralph Williams, and Smoking Jim Frazier. So, guys, your thoughts? Kenny Pickett getting traded yet again?
Well, that's all I got to say.
Where'd he go? Where'd he go?
I don't know yet, Tony. I was on getting ready to get on the air when my lovely wife came on and said Kenny Pickett got traded.
Wow. And then we just lost Justin Fields, right? To what, the Jets?
Yeah. Well, we're about to lose him to the Jets. He hasn't officially signed with them yet that I'm aware of. So,
Oh, that's interesting. I wonder if there was something that we weren't able to see with Kenny Pickett's play because of the coaching and the development team around him. Like, is he performing at a higher level with other people around him, and that's why he's able to get these advantages? And is it because we don't have the ability to do it here in Steel City?
Well, Tony, here's the thing. Kenny Pickett, first of all, should have never been drafted in the first round. He was a 4th or 5th round estimated pick by the mock drafts. That quarterback class for the draft was one of the worst in the history of the National Football League. Okay.
Wow.
Kenny Pickett did do what he did at Pitt. He did a really good job. But here's the thing. Kenny Pickett did it with Mark Whipple. Mark Whipple used to be Ben Roethlisberger's quarterbacks coach when Bill Cowher was the head coach for the Steelers. Okay.
Okay.
All right. And that's why Ben Roethlisberger was so good at the beginning of his career, was because of Mark Whipple. Whipple went to the University of Massachusetts for a long period of time. He was the coach there. And then he got let go, and Pitt decided to hire him. He stayed here for 2 years, and he helped Kenny Pickett get through everything. And that's why Pitt was so good when they were with Kenny Pickett. And then when he got into the draft, I don't know why, but I do know why the Steelers drafted him in the first round. They didn't want the Dan Marino headache. They didn't want.
I read that.
Yeah,
They didn't want that
but
to
that's
happen.
actually true, because you know me, I got sources in the Steeler organization that told me that. So they didn't want the Dan Marino headache. Oh, you didn't draft Dan Marino like you did last time. You let Kenny Pickett go play somewhere else and be a superstar. Well, this time they could have let that happen because he's not as good as advertised. Okay, it's that
Right.
simple. And you see it now. He's being traded again. And Kenny Pickett has this bad attitude problem. He became a first-round pick. Then he got married. And then what happened was, as soon as he got married, he started having this bad attitude, like, I'm the man, that kind of thing. And then when Mike Tomlin called him and said, hey, look, you're going to have to earn your job this year. I'm bringing in Russell Wilson. He decided, I'm going to cry like a little baby. So they traded him. So that's the Kenny Pickett story, as we do here. We do a lot of stories here on this program.
Well, if you think about it, he's got more Super Bowl rings than both J.J. Watt and Cam Hayward put together.
Yeah, he's got one. He just got it from this year. Yeah, exactly.
Honestly, that's really people want to be mad at Mike Tomlin. I don't know enough about what goes on in there to really know how to direct my frustration. All I know is we've had some really good offensive lines. We've had the best defense running for a long time. We've wasted a lot of talent out on the field for a lot of years when I think we could have been way more competitive in this conference.
Well, real quick here, we don't talk sports on this program, but I wanted to give the breaking news out to everybody about Kenny Pickett. But I will say,
sorry, I get excited about that.
No, that's okay, Tony. I will tell you this much, Tony. It's because of Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin, he let Bruce Arians walk away. He let Dick LeBeau. He had both of them fired after their contracts were up. Okay, great coaches that carried over from the Bill Cowher era. Mike Tomlin is a ego hound. He wants to do everything. All he hires is yes men, because that way, yes, coach, no, coach, okay, coach, I'll do it that way. Anybody that's smarter than Mike Tomlin don't want around. And that's why the Steelers have regressed for so many years under him. Okay. And Art Rooney II doesn't want to fire him because you know why? It makes the Steelers look bad, because the Steelers hate to be wrong. Okay. I've been around this.
They've been wrong an awful lot, brother.
Yes. Oh, you know it, man. You know it.
Yeah, Jesus. I mean, come on, man. And you're right, brother. 1,000%. The yes man, exactly. And when that happened a couple years back, or when he first came on, more than a couple years back, but when he first came on, brother, I know you keep up on this, and like me and Tony are just like flags that the wind just blowing, ready to catch the breeze in the air and catch the news. But when he did that, I said, "Uh-oh." That's all I said was "uh-oh." And here we go.
Exactly.
Yeah. They made a rule out of him.
I feel
made a rule out of him. He ain't going nowhere.
Tony,
Got the Mike Tomlin rule.
Tony, I feel bad for Cam Hayward, and I feel bad for TJ Watt, because they're never going to get a Super Bowl ring with Mike Tomlin. I'll guarantee it. I'll guarantee it.
That's sad.
Okay. Huh? He has 2 more years left on his contract. He'll be 20 years in the league. I think he's going to walk after this contract.
You know what'll be cool to see? Next year, when I'm the mayor and we have the draft here, and we draft a superstar quarterback in the city of Pittsburgh, and we go on to to break all thought process and win a Super Bowl all of a sudden.
Well, I'm telling you, I'm telling you, this team will never win a Super Bowl with Mike Tomlin as long as as long as Art Rooney II's the owner, Mike Tomlin will still have a job. So, you know, a lot of the, let me explain something to you. We'll go into this a little bit deeper here, just real quick. A lot of the minority ownership are pulling out because of Art II and Mike Tomlin. They're pulling out. They're taking their money and going somewhere else. That Harlem guy that was had ownership in the Steelers, he wanted Mike Tomlin out. Now he's with the Cleveland Browns. He's got ownership with the Cleveland Browns. So what I'm saying is that, and I know the Cleveland Browns isn't much, but what I'm telling you is that's an example right there of a guy who has a lot of money that pulled his ownership money out because of that. And, you know, Art Rooney II still controls the majority shares of this team. And I know he has talked about he's going to start stepping away and letting his brother and a few other people run the team. I hope he does, because he stinks. He stunk as a lawyer, and he stinks as an owner.
Did the Browns beat us a couple times this year?
They
They
beat us once.
Yeah. So they ain't that bad.
Well, yeah, that's bad when the Browns beat you. You know.
Well,
so.
think about who they beat them with. What quarterback?
Yeah, exactly.
Same.
Yeah, exactly.
So they're going in the right direction, and we're steady going in the wrong direction.
No, Cleveland's actually going in the wrong direction. They just got rid of Deshaun. Well, they just restructured Deshaun Watson's contract for what, the 80th time, and you know, they only won like 4 games. So I mean, you know, 4 or 5 games. So they're not going anywhere, and they never will.
All right, this is how I want to be capped off saying this, that the Detroit Lions coach and Dan Campbell is the coach that everybody in Pittsburgh thinks they have.
Oh, I know, and they don't, because
and they don't.
And the only reason Mike Tomlin won the Super Bowl he did was because he had Bill Cowher's players. Okay, all the players that he's ever drafted or brought in here haven't done anything to win a Super Bowl. So you know, but that's beside the coaches he's brought in here too, because he chased out 2 really good ones in Bruce Arians and Dick LeBeau, because he didn't like the idea of them being smarter than he is. All right. All right. We're going to go into our next segment here, where we're going to get into some more of the city council meeting. But the next segment of our show here is brought to you in part by RW Media Productions and Sponsorship Advertising. Call today, 412-545-4317 or ralphwilliams737@gmail.com. We have some emails here. Some people are listening. A bunch of people are listening in here. I got about 15 of them here, and we're going to get started with the mailbag real soon here. But if you're interested in some good sponsorship advertising, like Mata Heating and Air Conditioning, and Robin Campbell Insurance, Alex's Flowers, and much, much more, call today. We can help your business. RW Media Productions, 2 radio shows, 6 podcasts, and a spot on my website, www.rwmediaproductions.com. You can't beat the price. Call today, 412-545-4317 or www.rwmediaproductions.com. Check out my website. Archive shows are on there. And also, don't forget ralphwilliams737@gmail.com for the mailbag. Okay, guys, you ready for the mailbag?
Let's do it.
All right, here we go.
Let's have it.
Here we go. This is Sarah. Sarah from Green Tree. She says, you guys are picking on poor Ed Gainey yet again. You won't leave that man alone. She says that man has had struggles with the mayor's race. I don't actually, she lives in Green Tree City, which is a part of the city of Pittsburgh, but she lives in Green Tree City, she said, and she will be voting again for Ed Gainey. She said, why do we continue to pick on this man? How do you guys get ratings picking on this man? I said, we got more ratings picking on this man than we did not picking on him. So there you go.
Whoa. There is nobody picking on anybody. All we're doing is telling people what he's doing.
Yeah, exactly.
It is as clear as a blue sunny day with no clouds in the sky. Nobody picks on, like you said, Tony, nobody picks on anybody. Oh, by the way, if you need any help for your campaign, let me know, bro. I got you. Anyway, like I said, he's doing it. It's right in front of everybody's eyes. You mean to tell me she's that mesmerized and hypnotized by Gainey stuff?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, okay.
Exactly.
Yeah, I want when there's money just basically right before, like you just said, but right before your eyes, right? It's in the budget, and they talk about all these issues, but the numbers don't lie. You didn't spend the money where it was supposed to be spent. Now we're suffering for it. You can't be mad at us for telling you that it happened.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm getting a little tired of these people, but you know what? There's one thing that I do know. You continue to listen and watch. So go ahead.
Yep.
Continue to listen and watch, because you know what? Like Howard Stern, if you ever watched the movie Private Parts, and the program director Paul Giamatti goes to the guy that handles the ratings, and he says, "Well, why do they continue to listen to him if they don't like him? Because they want to know what he'll say next." Okay.
Who pig vomit?
Yeah, I know, Pigs Vomit. Yeah, that's one of my favorite movies, by the way. Oh my gosh! Other than, I'll tell you another good movie. It's a really old one. Martin Mull was in it. It was called FM. That was a good movie too. That was a really,
I've never seen that one.
yeah. And then Talk Radio was good with Oliver Stone. You got to check that one out. So
Yeah.
but anyway, let's get back to this. Tonight, or coming up next hour, in the 2-hour special of The Way We See It, with me, Ralph Williams, Bill Canatta, and our guest once again, Tony Moreno. Tony, you're always welcome on this program, as always.
I appreciate it, guys. This is what I enjoy this time. All the time.
I appreciate you coming on as well. And I was trying to get Anthony Coghill on tonight to talk with us, but I didn't hear back from him. And I didn't reach out to Teresa Kell Smith today because I was busy trying to get my new studio set up here today. So I really didn't have much time to reach out to her either. But I'm going to try to get one of them on next week, and or on our radio show, Tony, as well. Try to see what we can do to deal with this. Get the word out there to everybody. See, the reason why we had Tony do the Chris Ragland story on both this show and on the radio show was to educate you. We're trying to help you. I mean, he was getting ready to do these community meetings, and you don't appreciate it. Instead of saying thank you, you're telling us we're beating up people. You know what I mean?
Listen here. I can't let that go, Ralph. We're not picking on anybody.
No,
there are actual facts. The receipts are in the books, man. There's $2 million out there to tear down blighted properties. There's a plan that's been in place to tear down 50 a month. And they're telling the communities, oh, we don't have the money. We don't have the ability. They're just flat out lying. So it's not picking on anybody. Somebody's stealing your money. And the detective here is just telling you who's doing it.
Exactly.
Yes.
Bill, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, Brother Ralph, we've been having this conversation too, as well. Just like you said, we don't have no money because, it came through your hands and now there's nothing. And so now what do we have? What we was just talking about the other day about the funds that were there, and they were supposed to be allocated to like the emergency vehicles and so forth. Now there's nothing.
Yeah.
You got ambulances breaking down.
I want to know where $32 million that was supposed to be put into the budget to cover fixing repairs on to fixing our public works vehicles and fixing the public safety vehicles so that ambulances don't break down with a heart attack victim in the ambulance. The city almost got sued because of that. Fortunately for them, the guy didn't die.
There it is.
And that to me is unacceptable.
Then you have city council, because they misspent or mismanaged the park tax money that they just raised, that $10 million a year that they get.
That they were supposed to fix the parks up. Yes.
What they do, they allowed them to take a vote to move $4 million out of our parks fund and move it into the general fund to take care of the vehicles that they misspent all that money on. And it's still broken. So they're stealing our money right before our very eyes. And to say that we're picking on anybody is just an absolute falsehood. That is not a fair assessment. And you need to do, we need to do a better job, I guess, on explaining what we're talking about, Ralph, because if I'm not communicating this correctly.
No, Tony, what we need to do is we need to start communicating in Swahili, because obviously English isn't being understood here.
I'd rather Italian. At least I would understand some of that dialogue.
No,
Hey,
the way these guys operate,
hey.
we're gonna have to put it in Braille because they're obviously stuck on Android.
Here we go. Here's a good email here I got from Bob. Bob lives in Carrick. He said, "Guys, you guys are putting on a good show. I can't help it that Sarah can't clean her ears out of the wax in her ears and doesn't understand anything or has a brain to understand what you guys are talking about." There you
Oh
go.
my gosh, there it is.
Oh, ain't that the truth?
Oh yeah. So that's Bob. Okay, here we go. Frank from Lawrenceville. He says, "I'm not a progressive, and I'm old school, and I live in Lawrenceville." He says, "I want Ed Gainey out. I want Corey O'Connor out. I want Tony Moreno." He said, "I've had enough of the progressives, and Ralph, I'm going to support you when you run for 2027 against Bethany Howland." Thank you, Frank.
Hey,
So there you go.
talking about.
Yep,
And they
exactly.
say the train is rolling, baby. The train is rolling.
Oh, it's rolling, all right.
It's
It's
the
rolling.
big Mo. Momentum is our friend.
Yes, it is.
sir. Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
You can you can only getting your butt kicked so long. You know, in the city of Pittsburgh, I think, Ralph, we talked about it. When's it going to change? And I always say it's not bad enough yet. Well, I think people might start to feel like it's bad enough.
Here's every time I have Tony on, whether it's here or on the radio show that we do together, I always ask him a question about what he's going to do if he was mayor. So tonight, Tony, I'm going to ask you another question. Okay. What do you plan to do about the nonprofits?
So the nonprofits, first, why aren't they giving? Well, they are. It's just we're not taking advantage of it in the city. And really, the nonprofits now, when you hear all these politicians right now are saying, "Oh, we can't do this. This has been a problem for years. It's impossible." It's not impossible. They just know that you're going to steal the money that they give you because you tell them, "We need money in the general fund so we could, help pay for what we take care of them." Well, it's getting taken care of now. So what's their argument to go ahead and pay when they know you're just going to steal it? So what I've done is I've created a plan where the nonprofits give because they do at St. Margaret's already. St. Margaret's is a UPMC hospital over in Fox Chapel, but the city of Pittsburgh owns the property it's on. And way back 4 years ago, when I was looking in the budgets, I wasn't looking for this, but I found it. It's a line item that says income from nonprofit organization, taxes in lieu of income for nonprofits. And I went to Michael Lamb. I said, "Mike, what is this?" And he said, "Oh, that's UPMC." I said, "So you already have a plan that takes money from nonprofits and the city gets paid for it." I said, "Why isn't this laid out across the city?" And he said, quite frankly, he has no idea how that deal was done, and he doesn't even know when it's done or how they came about it. So it's already in place. You just take that formula. You could just break it down into the $440,000 that they give into how many square foot that property is, and that'll just give you a baseline to go from. And we're just going to apply that across the city with all the big hospitals, what they got. And then we're going to come to them and say, "Hey, you guys, you want to give back? We need you to pay the health care for our city employees." So we do that. That would cost about $40 million to cover it all. And sorry guys, dog's going crazy.
All right, Tony. Jill says here in the comments section here, "I work for nonprofits." Jill works for a whole bunch of them, so So
yeah. So then, I'm sorry. I had to. My dog decided he had to flex up on the whole neighborhood. So then, what you do is, you go in and make the deal, and you say, "Hey, we need our city employees to be covered. Give them an opportunity to pick amongst these 3 or 4 hospitals, and they'll all pay based on how big they are. But if you get the basic plan, they'll cover it. But shoot, the $40 million that Gainey turned down from UPMC would have covered that. And that's not counting what the other hospitals would have gave. But under my plan, there's a lot more money out there. And we're not going to ask them to give $100 million because we're not going to get that. But what we can get is now some training centers. Have them put their name on it, like Allegheny Health Network, child care training center to train people how to run child care facilities. So that way now we got a place to send moms who need to get jobs and educated. Or if you want to learn how to be a plumber, or if you want to learn the trade, say,
Great.
okay, we're going to have West Penn Hospital's Trade Center. So they get to advertise, they get to give back. Now they're training people to come in and start taking our blighted properties and rebuilding them. So it's a cause and effect that goes across the board. They are truly giving back to the city of Pittsburgh, and we're supporting them by taking care of them. That way, nobody's stealing from them. They're giving back. The city gets the benefit of it, and now everybody can move forward and not deal with those things anymore. And it's just a practical matter. I don't know why they don't do it. Well, I think we know why they do it. They steal the money, and we don't get what we're supposed to. But that's my plan for that, Ralph.
Okay, great. And as you know, every week, whether it's here or on the radio show, I will ask Tony a question so that you know that when he becomes mayor, and he will, there will be you will have an idea as to what he's doing. And
these are all unprompted. I have no idea what questions he's going to ask me. And that was
I never tell.
on purpose.
I come with a different question every week. So all right, guys, we're going to go to a break here because we're going to go to our second hour of The Way We See It with me, Ralph Williams, and our guest and Bill Canatta, and our guest Tony Moreno on the phone. When we come back, we're going to come back with hour number 2 of The Way We See It right after this. All right, welcome back to hour number 2 of The Way We See It with me, Ralph Williams, and Bill Canatta, and our special guest by phone. As always, I had to bring Tony Moreno back on again tonight to talk about the resignation of Chris Ragland. He stepped away from being involved in any decision to become the permanent chief, and we're talking about that in the first hour, and we had a little bit of fun. By the way, Bill, welcome to the program. Hour number 2. Tony, welcome to the program. Hour number 2 of The Way We See It.
Hey, Ralph. Hey, Bill. What's happening, fellas?
Hey, Tony, what's going on? Thanks for coming, brother. Thank you, Ralph, for having me, bro. You know that.
Oh, you're welcome. And Jill's got some comments. She says she volunteers at a lot of nonprofits. And then also here, let me see. She just commented again a couple more times here. Here we go. Thank you, Jill, for your comments. Need to do better educating. There you go. Education. There you are. And then let me see here. Don't hire illegals with no experience that need to speak English and have a social security number. All right, there you are with that. That's hey, right on. That's why I voted for Donald Trump. I'm tired of these illegals. So and I'm a Democrat. And I'm a Democrat, and I'm voting for Tony Moreno too. So there you go. So because I want change in Pittsburgh, big change. The Democrats have failed, in some cases. So I'm a Democrat when I run against Bethany Holland, but you know what? If I have to, I will run Republican if I don't win the primary. But that's fine because she's going to get the run of her life. So in 2027, those of you who don't know, I am running for county council at large against Bethany Holland in the next in 2027 election. I've had enough of these progressives, and I think you should vote them all out. We should. It started with Uncle Joe Biden, as Billy calls him, and so it needs to work its way down. The whole ladder there. So okay, let's get back to some more of the city council meeting from last Wednesday, and then Tony, Bill, and I will talk more. We'll take more of your emails. I got a whole mess of them here. We'll talk more about that. Here's some more city council comments from the meeting last Wednesday after the retirement of Chris Ragland.
His life and his 31-year career at the Bureau as what he described as a political football. It is this very same type of behavior that is terrorizing our federal workers in Washington, D.C. And while I recognize
Barb, who cares?
To score political points, We should not be doing it at the expense of our most dedicated employees and public servants.
Guess it's not what she's doing.
I wish Chris Ragland all the best for his next chapter, and I thank him for his 31 years of service to this city. He would have made an outstanding chief. I hope for those who politicized his nomination, the win was worth it, because in the end, it is the people of Pittsburgh who are losing out. Thank you.
Okay, comments, Tony, or we'll start with you, Bill, what Barb Work just said.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, recognizing Chief Ragland, he's backing down. I mean, 31 years. I mean, that's a lot, dealing with everybody who he couldn't take. And you know what, too? That's another thing. I didn't realize he was at that job for 31 years. So that just says a little something. That says a little bit about his character. But then now, however, here's another thing. What I always say, you backed away now because you're just tired of taking the BS. So good for him. I'm happy for him. I don't know him like, I know Zappala real well. And all the other guys down there at City Council, and Chris Ragland, he did what he did. I guess a quote you could say to save his sanity from these people out here. What do you think, Tone?
Because when everybody's there's not enough.
So yeah, absolutely. That's what
Tony, your thoughts on what Barb Work just said?
Well, I have a completely different point of view here because Chris Ragland came on the year after later on in the year that I started. So we've been together. I knew him for a long time. We were friends until he became political. But there's also a difference in, and Bill, I really appreciate you recognizing, that somebody puts 31 years into the police department. It should be a record that stands out of excellence. That's what I would think.
Yes, sir.
That doesn't always happen. When I talk about the police department and their leadership, everybody has a record. Everybody has a record of their police work because everything that we do is documented. So when you go back and you look at this Ragland's documentation of his police record, there isn't much of actual police work recorded because he started off in Squirrel Hill where crime was not of utmost. Crime was not the biggest problem in Squirrel Hill when we came on in 1994. So he did his first 3 years or first 5 years on the job there. And there's really, everybody knows it. That's kind of a retirement zone. You go there to slow down in your career. Chris Ragland took the lieutenant's test as soon as he was able at 5 years, and he became a lieutenant. And the problem with, it's good, I guess, if you want to take the test and be a boss right away. But if you don't know what you're doing, like having to deal with criminals and people and learning the streets, and you're going to be a supervisor at one of the highest levels there, you should know a little bit of everything about everything.
Absolutely.
The way the structure is set up in the city of Pittsburgh, it's not made that way. So he has been an administrator the majority. Take away 5 years, and he's been an administrator for 25 years. And that's how he views this whole thing. So now he's caught up. Ralph, can I get into what's going on with the lieutenant who was fired for spying?
Yeah. Well, we can talk about that in a second.
It's a relationship.
Yeah, I want to talk about that in a second here. But first, Tony, I don't know if you heard, Saturday there was a big debacle downtown with that festival. 75 youth running all over downtown. They were only able to get 6 cops down there to stop the problem. Okay.
Man.
This is a mess. This is another stain on Ed Gainey's face and another egg, or as I always say, egg on his face. Okay. And your thoughts, Tony, on this? This is just unbelievable.
Well, this is what should be expected. When you don't have enough police officers, and the police officers that you have are not allowed to engage and enforce the law. They don't allow them to do that by policy. So you don't have enough presence of officers, and then they're not allowed to do their job. So this is what is going to happen no matter what. So until the policy changes, you can have 1,000 police officers that would be standing around not arresting anybody. So the policy has to change, and then we have to go back to recruiting officers and bringing them back into Pittsburgh and keeping them here. Now, let's not let Corey O'Connor off the hook here, Ralph and Bill. Corey O'Connor authored the defund the police bill starting in 2018, and then they passed it in 2020. And in that bill, they removed 10% of the police training budget because they said collectively, Corey O'Connor's right in this conversation with them, that if you take away the training funds, they can't train new police officers, and you'll automatically, through attrition, lower the number of police officers. It's in the public source article in 2020. You can read it for yourself. So he authored the defund the police, and that's why I think it's so comical when I'm sitting here listening to the debate when he points it at GAINEY and said, "You don't have enough officers because you didn't hire them." And Ed GAINEY's not smart enough to look back at him and say, "But you defunded the police. It's your fault you didn't have the funding in place." So he can't be let off the hook on this. He's sticking to his progressive values. He's not acting like his father, Bob O'Connor. As a matter of fact, he's rejecting his father, Bob O'Connor. And he's the defund the police guy. So now GAINEY's just running with the programs he was presented because that feeds the progressive base. So that's in a snapshot what you have going on there.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that, Tony. And then Tony, go ahead. You can talk about the lieutenant. We're talking about the guy who just recently took a plea deal, who was dealing with that or doing that, them cameras in the cars and all that stuff at Zone 2. Go ahead, Tony.
Yeah, so 2 years ago, the Commander Matt Lackner, who is thick as thieves with then Chief Ragland, he was taking body-worn cameras and he was hiding them in police cars and detective cars, and he was filming officers and detectives he didn't like. That's breaking the federal wiretap. That breaks so many laws, not only breaking laws, but also breaking the oaths that they're swore to do to protect the Constitution. And now they're leaders and they're acting as supervisors like they're thugs. So you have this lieutenant planning these things. There's 75 hours of camera time. Well, when they got caught, it was funny because he didn't get fired. They allowed him to retire. And then they closed the investigation that Ragland's in charge of OMI, don't forget. And he's also in charge of those cameras. He's in charge of all the camera systems in the city. So he knew that Lackner was spying on people because he has to review that footage. And the only thing we didn't know is how much involvement did he have in plotting this? How were they conspiring to do this, or was I know for a fact that Ragland was at least complicit in it. He knew about it. He actually supported it. He was very aloof about it when it was going on. That's verifiable through our union president, Bob Schwartzwalter. So he knew coming into these interviews that Matt Lackner, his probation was. So here's the outrage, Ralph and Bill. The investigation was sent over to the county police, and then the county police dropped all the charges down to very minor charges. He was allowed to take an ARD, advanced rehabilitation something. Well, that means in 6 months, all of his arrests clean, and he's completely exonerated, and he has no police record of the arrest even happening. So if he wanted, he could go be a police officer somewhere else. But more importantly, what he did was Lackner, as soon as his probation was over, dropped a lawsuit, a counter lawsuit on the city. Now, you guys got to hang with me here. The 7 police officers that he was spying on sued the city because it's a civil rights violation. Well, even though Ragland's not named in it, he's going to be named in it because they're going to go back and ask him what his role was, considering he's in charge of OMI and he's in charge of the cameras. And he has to plead the fifth, because if he says, well, my role is to review them, then he admits to them that he knew he was spying on him and that he conspired to do it. So he just has to say nothing and nothing will happen to him. But Lackner drops the counter lawsuit saying, if I get found guilty of any of these civil rights violations, all the penalty should be the city's responsibility, because he's claiming that he's acting in accordance with what the city had him doing in investigating the officers for different crimes or rules violations. So what he's saying is his boss told him to do it, and his boss is Chris Ragland. So he's taking the responsibility away from him, putting it on the city, and that grows through Chris Ragland, and he cannot testify about that. So he just resigns. Don't let anybody try to make it anything else than what it is. These things happen, and when you put them in order and you know how it operates, there's a reason why he left and why he left so abruptly. So that's some interesting facts that nobody really pays attention to. All these lawsuits, these crimes, all this in and out of the police departments, hiding videos, video people, arresting people for things that they shouldn't be arrested for. There's all these things going on because there's no leadership in the city of Pittsburgh. None. So they could be as wicked as they want and nothing happens to them. And this is proof right here.
All right. Thank you, Tony. Billy, your thoughts on this?
Oh my gosh. Well, first of all, Tony, thank you so much for being on the inside, because we see on the outside, that's what they want us to believe. So thank you, sir, for the education, because let me tell you something right now. Even though my uncle was Vento, he didn't put me down for a city council meeting at all. He never told me anything, all except for what I needed to know on the surface. And I agree with him 1,000,000% on that. I mean, now it makes sense on why these people are getting away with a lot of stuff and nothing's happening. So thank you, Tony. Absolutely agreed. You know what I mean, Ralph?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And Jill here, she really lit up the comment section here. Chris Ragland's father rode a motorcycle as a police officer, lived off of Ritchie Street. She does homeless work, and it says the young parents need to be some of these young parents need to be arrested. Absolutely. And then it says bring SWAT team with the dogs. Absolutely, that should have happened on Saturday. Get the horses out, back out, yes, or get the horses out, or get the bosses out, more or less. The liberals will blame Trump, and they always do. Absolutely. So, yeah. All right. Here's part of Ed Gainey's greatest hits. Here's a report of him saying what he's saying about Steven Zappala. Here we go.
The feud between Mayor Ed Gainey and District Attorney Steven Zappala hit a new chapter this week.
Chris Hoffman has a look at the contentious relationship they've had the past few years.
During Mayor Gainey's almost 4 years in office, there have been multiple occasions where he and the district attorney have not seen eye to eye, both issued statements on this latest issue. The latest episode happened when at a campaign event, Mayor Gainey spoke to supporters and said the following.
I told the DA he's a racist. I ain't support the DA.
At a press event today, we tried to ask Mayor Gainey about this, but he declined to comment. We were directed to his campaign, which gave us this statement, quote, "It's no secret the mayor and many Western PA Democrats have long disapproved of the Republican DA's actions and campaigned for Democratic nominee Matt Dugan over him. At a time where Trump is rolling back civil rights protections cheered on by white supremacists, Democrats can't be afraid to call a spade and stand up for the constitutional rights of our constituents." Meanwhile, DA Zappala wouldn't go on camera, but his office gave us this quote. "The district attorney has too many important matters to be distracted by the mayor's failing administration.
I like this.
Apparently a badly failing campaign. One point of clarification, the conversation Mr. Gainey refers to with the DA never happened. But this isn't the first time the two have clashed. In fact, a couple of years ago, they had a vastly different opinion over the safety and enforcement of laws in downtown. The mayor saw downtown on the rise, while the DA said it wasn't safe.
It's thriving in a way that it hasn't thrived. Nightlife is back in this city. Restaurant sales are doing well.
But if you're not going to enforce the law, and if this continues to move the way it is, then I will sue you in federal court."
And before that, they disagreed over a consultant's report on the city's police. And even before Mayor Gainey, there were issues between the prior administration of Mayor Bill Peduto and District Attorney Steven Zappala as well.
Wow.
In downtown, Chris Hoffman.
Okay, there you go. That was the report from Channel 2 News. And you heard it from Ed Gainey right out of his mouth about that. He said that Steven Zappella is a racist, our DA. How dare him say that? And then he blames, you know what? Why is it, everybody, guys, why is it that he's blaming Trump? Tony, we'll start with you.
It's the easy way out. I mean, of course, why wouldn't you blame him? First, the president is unapologetic about what he's doing. So you can blame him all you want, and it's absolutely meaningless, and you actually sound foolish when you do that. But as far as what the district attorney says, he's right on the money. He's just not giving up the goods because he's a professional. There is an indictment sitting on Ed Gainey right now, and he knows it. And that's why he's lashing out. He's trying to mold the narrative. This indictment is for a very serious money issue. Ralph, you and I have gone over him, that P card incident.
Yes.
It's blatant that they stole this money. There's $2.2 million being slashed around, totally unaccounted for.
Yeah,
there's a lot of things.
They gave that card to that vendor that was fired by the city, and he took $2 million out of it and did nothing about it. I don't even think they even charged him. Correct, Tony?
Well, no. There's $2 million total in the fund that was spent. We don't even know how much is there. They're being so deceptive about it. We know that $2.2 million was spent out of the fund, with Princess Jafar, aka Mario Ashkar, receiving probably $28,000 total from it, but he was not allowed to be paid through that process. That's the big deal. Is there's rules that are supposed to be done, and none of them were followed. They made up names. I mean, Jesus, they made up a PayPal account at the request of the controller in order to pay this guy illegally, and there's emails that are covering it. So, and the name they put it under was Princess Jafar. And then city council voted it in. So It's like, and then of course here comes Chris Ragland, and his my investigation said, no, there's nothing to see here. There was no crime. Well, apparently Steven Zappella saw it differently, as did I. That's a conspiracy to commit financial fraud. So now guess what happened? We just found out that the money that Gainey was given this last reporting period, he got $80,000, and he spent $30,000 on a law group defending him against this indictment. So let me set this up. He's being indicted for financial fraud, and he illegally takes campaign finances to pay for lawyers against the financial fraud that he's being accused of.
Wow.
They just keep digging holes for themselves. It's right in front of us. We're not picking on anybody.
No,
folks,
we're not.
This is what's happening in front of you. You're just not being told about it.
Exactly. You're not being told, and some people can't handle the truth. Go ahead, Bill. Your thoughts on what was played there, the audio of Ed Gainey.
Absolutely. Did you hear how angry he sounded in that one little part of the clip there? And then did you also hear when he says, oh, yeah, the city nightlife is back. The city is on its rise. So you reverse that. You mean the crime is on its rise in the city and the nightlife's going down.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, here we go. Here's a quick 20-second of the actual statement that he made about Steven Zappella. This isn't the news. This is an actual statement that he put on his Instagram account. Here we go.
I told the DA he's a racist. I ain't support the DA. I told the DA he's a racist. I ain't support the DA.
All right, that's what he put on his Instagram account. You know, he's good at repeating himself, just like he did with Rick Earl that time. He says, what do you think, Rick? How about that, Rick? You know?
Say thank you, Rick.
Thank you, Rick. Say thank you, Rick.
Yeah. That's it. Say thank you.
Rick. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, tonight, everybody, we're playing the greatest hits of Ed Gainey. And we're playing a lot of his statements that he's made, whether it's insulting city council or calling, here we go.
I believe it. The process that he had to go through, he didn't want to go through it. He spoke about it today. That's why he stopped. He stopped because he felt like it was unfair to him. What he said is, I just want to do the job. And here's how I know he'd have made a great chief. He's the one that did the downtown policing. He's the one that did the south side. When I first came in, Carson Street was on fire. They were shooting every week.
Oh my
You don't
God.
hear about shooting on Carson Street. Not like you was hearing about it when I first came in. That's a reality. And I was for the last 10, 15 years, they were shooting up Carson Street. You don't hear about the shooting that they was doing like when I came in.
Oh my
That's
God.
a reality. And secondly is, at the end of the day, he also did the downtown. Downtown looks much better than what it looked before he got down here. So I believe in Chief Ragland. And I believe that Chief Ragland would have made a great police chief. The process that they put him through was not a process that he felt he should have had to go through. And I don't believe he should have had to go through it too. They wanted him to have 6 community meetings all throughout the city. And in these 6 community meetings that they wanted him to have, they wanted people to be able to testify about whether he should be the choice for chief of police.
All right, guys. I believe, Tony, this was the meeting you were at in Carrick. Remember?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is from Jennifer Barrasso from Channel 2 News. She was the one that posted this on her Instagram account. Bill, your thoughts on what he had to say here?
Well, just like Tony said, now I'm seeing it a lot deeper. So when he said Ragland didn't really have the experience, and then you're throwing him out there, now it's like, and somewhere along the line, Gainey would have had to pick up on that, brother. So it sounds like, Chief Ragland would have made a great chief and all this other stuff and everything. But the other seriousness, just like Tony said a few minutes ago, we don't know what's going on behind the scenes, but now it's made perfectly clear. So right now, that sounds like, to me, that's just a smooth over.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely on that one. I agree with you 100%. And Tony, your thoughts on what he said there? I think this was the one at the Carrick
It's just
meeting.
so preposterous. I hear this man speak, and it just irritates me to no end because he's so intentionally he manipulates the situation to his advantage. I guess that's a good quality if you're a crook, but for him to say that he took care of, look at what he did with the South Side. All right, the South Side was an absolute train wreck.
Yeah, sure.
But what stopped it? They took 20 police officers and stuck them up and down the South Side, and it lowered the crime rate. What have they been telling us, Ralph? Bill? Oh, yeah. No, we can't. You don't need more police officers. You don't need more police officers. But when they were murdering each other in plain sight in the South Side, what fixed it? More police officers doing police work. So he kind of just proves it's a counterfactual almost, but he proves that his theory is wrong. He proves it, and then he counts it as a win. So apply that to downtown. They don't enforce the law downtown, but they put a police station down there. So what do you have? You have kids going crazy, tearing up everything because they have no respect for anybody or anything, and there's nobody to enforce the law. So he is really he's showing everybody just how terrible his policies are and what really would work if he were to apply it. So, I mean, it's that simple for everybody to see. You just have to look at it through a different lens that makes sense.
Yeah.
So all these things that he's saying are partially true. It's just, how do you take advantage of them? And when he's the guy that's not allowing the police officers to do their job, you see what happens downtown, like Saturday night. And when you do decide to put forth your law enforcement officers to enforce the law, the job that they were paid to do, and it works, why don't you do more of what works?
Exactly. Okay, guys, we're going to go ahead, Bill.
No, I'm all right, bro. I was just getting ready to say, I mean, again, just like he said, more police, more, because you know why they don't want to do what's right? Because he's on his way out. That's the only thing. And I still keep going back to that, guys. I'm so sorry. I mean, I can't believe that this guy that we've known for a while is doing what he's doing. It's like he's spinning his tires in the mud. He can't get a grip. But what he's doing is he's breaking the dam. He's breaking the dam. He's breaking the dam. He's causing a big flood. And it seems like, well, let me do this before I get arrested, because he's going to jail.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. He is, after all that we've heard, not only just from Tony, but also from the Rick Earl. I mean, I'm trying to find that audio that I had of him saying it to Rick Earl. What do you think, Rick? But couldn't find it here, the audio that I had for this. So, well, we're going to go back to some of the city council comments here. Here's Teresa Kell Smith again.
They came over to us. And the only thing I did say is after we spent a ton of money on a national search, that the best officer we could come up with was somebody who broke somebody's neck in a training. So I thought that council needed to be a little bit more actively involved. So actively involved and micromanage the department are two different things. I think council has a responsibility to the public safety, for the safety of the city of Pittsburgh and our residents. And making them safe doesn't mean you just take somebody that follows just one person's direction, in that they're nominated by maybe somebody who runs a foundation or something like that. It's because you take people who are going to do what needs to be done for the Bureau. And being safe means our officers have to have confidence in their leader. And a lot of people did have confidence in Ragland's. I'm going to be really clear. They really thought that he really knew what he was talking about when it came to running the Bureau. They just didn't like the way he talked to people and the way he talked with his officers. So that led us to some conversations. And then when the public said that they had concerns, then we thought, okay, we have to address this. But I just want to be very clear. This was never political on our part, even though we have political rules and we are here to represent what the people want. When we speak, we are speaking for the people. And we had a lot of concerns. And you can't just say that all those groups and officers were both sharing concerns and we're supposed to totally ignore those and think just move forward and approve a chief. The chief had no problems attending those meetings. He had no problems working with council members. He had no problems working with the members of the Bureau and trying to build a better relationship. What I said was maybe what we ought to do is before we put somebody in a directorship or before we put somebody in as a chief, we should be providing training on how they can talk with people and can do their discipline in a way that respects people and their rights. And maybe we failed in that way because we didn't provide those trainings. But other than that, I will say that I think we're going to outline a public process going forward for whomever a chief is. And I don't think we should be putting forward a chief right before an election, no matter who it is. We just got done paying out a tremendous amount for a pension for somebody who left here before we thought he was going to leave. So yes, we need to be a little bit more methodical and a little bit more careful on selecting a chief and the timing of selecting a chief, because what we don't want is for somebody to leave again and for the Bureau to be in the middle of chaos again. We have a really great acting chief right now, Marty Devine. He's amazing, but there's going to be somebody who's going to say something that no matter who we appoint, no matter who's elected, this is a difficult job. And so I just want to say, whoever is going to be the acting chief, I'm ready to work with them, but I want them to also be willing to have a public process should they ever be put forward as a nominee. So,
okay, thoughts, guys. Go ahead. We'll start with you, Bill.
So, again, I'm still stuck in neutral here because somebody along the line, I just don't know, unless Ragland was just that good of an actor to cover up everything. Because, you know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm still stuck. I'm sorry. Yeah. Tony, you could take this any time because you definitely have way more experience, but I'm still stuck there. I mean, I just can't get that out of my mind now because what you just presented here tonight, brother.
Your thoughts, Tony. Go ahead. You're still with us, Tony? Must have hung up on.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Ralph. I had to hit my cough button.
Oh, that's okay.
To turn it back on. I think I caught a little bit of a cold out campaigning.
Oh.
But what I want to say is, it amazes me that these council people carry water for these folks. It's like they have an adversity to speaking the truth because the truth is very revealing and it's unflattering. Well, I don't live by that premise. You have to understand these are practical matters that need to be addressed because this is the most important thing in the city of Pittsburgh as far as government is concerned, and that's providing safety. So
Yep.
there is no hurt feelings in this. There shouldn't be. There should be no politics in this. It should be very pragmatic. And when she says, "Oh, he's very capable," well, what's capable about an acting chief or the actual deputy chief when he was the assistant chief? He stopped the mental health training in the city of Pittsburgh. And I know that because my wife used to run it, and it was so good that it was the state model. It was a 40-hour certification course.
Wow, that's
And
great.
it's internationally recognized. And my wife was the expert in it. She's actually labeled as the subject matter expert in the city of Pittsburgh Police Department and in Allegheny County. And the state recognizes her the thing that she taught, crisis intervention team training, as being the state model. So she trained somebody to take her place, and as soon as she left, they stopped doing it. And it is the most effective training. We had a plan to put the social workers to ride in conjunction with the police officers and answer the calls, because now you have trained police officers performing the work of what a police officer is supposed to do. And if they recognize mental health problems, they then transfer. If there's no crime, they transfer it over to the social worker. So those things were in place. They just didn't do it. And nobody wants to ask Chief Ragland why they stopped doing that. Why did they stop utilizing mental health experts when they're answering calls? Why did they stop the SWAT? There was a SWAT team that, our SWAT team is very dynamic. They're the best in the country. But we recognize
I
the need.
apologize for that, folks. Sorry, I was the T car going by here.
Oh, no, that's okay. We recognize the need for SWAT officers to be trained, advanced training in crisis intervention, because it goes along with the Negotiation Act. But we're sending SWAT officers in force to go out, and sometimes it's just somebody that's suffering from a mental illness, and then they get triggered into more violence. So then obviously the SWAT team's going to respond. What they did is they put together a team of 8 to 10 officers that would just respond to the call. They would have all their SWAT gear, but they would be responding as mental health activists, police officers trained in mental health, trying to see if that's all it is, to avoid the full SWAT call out. But if it's a real call, we actually have the SWAT officers there analyzing the situations, locking it down, securing it, and then bringing the backup. And that sounds like a great idea. It works in other places. But the city of Pittsburgh, under Chris Ragland, stopped it. So when they start to say, yeah, he performs well, I have an argument against it, because it's important that everybody knows that we need to have the best plans going forward, not the plans that are political.
Okay, Jill says here, and I have my mic mute, sorry. Officers do need more training in the city of Pittsburgh. I agree with Jill on that, and I think Tony does. And Bill, you go ahead with your comments.
Absolutely. And, like I said, Tony, I listened to you all night, brother, because I love getting educated. And being the fact that in the city of Pittsburgh, and the same thing with Brother Ralph, and he's right. Here's the thing. I mean, I guess basically what I'm saying is that you go to the academy, you get certified as a police officer, then all of a sudden 2 months later, you're up in a chief's position or something. I'm just using that. But the people who went to the academy are getting more training than somebody just getting thrown in there and don't have really no reason to be in there. It's the truth is always painful, and it's hard to take, and people cannot take that truth. And that's the reason why I like this. It's been 20 plus years, Brother Ralph, and Tony. I only met you like about a month or so ago, and I'm aboard with you. I'm aboard with you.
Well, here, let me comment on that statement, Ralph.
Okay.
The city of Pittsburgh has some of the highest levels of training in the country, if not the world. This crisis intervention team training, Dr. Poloka, that's my wife, when she was Detective Dr. Poloka running the crisis intervention training, was asked to go to Washington, D.C. and speak to the Chief of Police Association, because they were there talking to the White House and discussing these very issues. and nobody really had a grasp of what it was they were trying to talk about. So they looked at Patty, or Dr. Poloka, my wife, and said, hey, aren't you the subject matter expert for Pittsburgh in this? Can you talk to us? So she spoke in front of the White House and explained to all these elected officials and all these chiefs of police from all over the country how the crisis intervention team training works and how it's effective, and how to avoid from being political with it, with all the, they call it, back then they didn't call it wokeness, but with just the angles that they were using. She's very good at aiming this training to the frontline workers who need to have it, because they're recognizing people with mental illness before anybody else. And if you could do that, it avoids confrontation in the future. So we have the ability here. The problem, and you're going to say, well, then what's the problem? The problem is lack of enforcement of the training. And that comes from the leadership. When the leaders don't even know what they're supposed to be doing, how can they enforce the training?
So sad.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Okay. Tonight, this segment is brought to you by Big Dog Auto, Buttermilk Caller Road, West Mifflin. Call the Big Dog. Hey, let me tell you something. Have you ever been ripped off by a mechanic? I know some people who have. Well, guess what? Not with the Big Dog. He does it right, and for the right price. Just ask Bill. Just ask me. We're customers, and I've sent him a ton of customers, and these ads have sent him a ton of customers. That's why I am saying you need to get sponsorship advertising with us here. It'll help your business as it's helped Big Dog and several other businesses here as well. 412-999-0121, Big Dog Auto, West Mifflin, right by the Allegheny County Airport. All right. Alex's Flowers. Call Alex today. 30 years in the flower business. He's been in it for years. He's also a Pitt alum. If you're a fan of Pitt, of the University of Pittsburgh, he's been doing this for 30 years. Weddings, funerals, and also if you have a special event or for just for your sweetheart, call Alex today. 412-661-6071. And we're in the Mata Heating and Air Conditioning Studios 808 up here in the Allentown section of the city of Pittsburgh. All right, and Jill's been commenting here. She says she's a mental health expert. She's also she also said that Patty and I are cool there, Tony. And she also said she came to a conference for mental health that Jill went to there. So your wife Patty there, Tony, was at a conference that Jill was at.
Oh,
so,
nice.
Yes. So Jill knows your
Thanks
wife.
Thanks for that, Jill.
Yes, absolutely.
She knows that the city of Pittsburgh leads the way. Dr. Poloka presented, because when she's working, she's actually on the ground working with the officer. She was also a peer support officer. She was the officer wellness person. So she is deep in this, and she knows how this operates from the ground level. That's why she's able to teach it, because it's coming from the streets of the police officer. So she knew that we had a problem with the officers applying this training in the LGBTQ community and with the youth. And the reason isn't because there's a bunch of homophobes running around with badges on. It's just cops are their first PTSD sign is being annoyance, because they're having to deal with everybody else's problems and death and suffering, that they react wrong when somebody asks them something at the time. So LGBTQ training, what it is how you speak to somebody, because there's no reason to ruin the interaction when somebody calls you for help and you just don't know how to approach it. So it becomes automatically offensive. So you just give them a few key sentences to get through what you need to do, and everybody feels respected and everybody feels like they're getting the services that they called for. And you can walk away from it knowing that you gave somebody help and don't have to dwell in the politics of it. Or CIT for youth, kids were coming out to their parents and their parents were kicking them out of the houses, or they were being shut out of relationships and become homeless. And what do? They got to go live in these camps around the city. And now you got some young person who just got kicked out of their house. They're vulnerable. The cops aren't coming, so they become abused. So She went out and found the safe spaces for kids to go to across the city if they were homeless and needed help, and then applied all the mental health training to these areas. So it was very valuable, and the city just took it away.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And Jill also said here that she knows Patty's brothers from Brighton Heights and knows the family. So there you go. So
It's
wow. So there you go.
That's where she was. That's where she was born and raised. We live in the house that she grew up in.
Oh, okay, great. All right. I guess what I found, guys. You ready?
Go ahead, play
Oh,
it.
here it comes.
All right, here we go.
Tension in City Hall over the position of police chief, leading to angry words from the mayor. This all stems from delays in naming the acting chief the permanent chief. Channel 11 Chief Investigator Rick Earl attended a news conference today with both men as counsel and the community. Slow down that promotion, Rick.
Yeah, Gordon, it was a very interesting news conference. The mayor was fired up today, and he is standing by his choice for chief. The acting chief, meanwhile, much more reserved and says he understands why residents want the community forums. I love meetings. Acting Chief Chris Ragland says he's looking forward to the 6 community forums called by the NAACP and other community groups, as well as a public hearing and interview before City Council.
Anytime I can get a chance to get in front of the citizens and tell them who I am and what I believe in means something, right?
The mayor also expressing support for the acting chief by questioning him about his accomplishments during a news conference celebrating the 1-year anniversary of the Downtown Public Safety Center.
Ragland, you want this job? I did. He wants this job. Did you do the downtown plan? I did. Did you help out on the north side when needed help? Absolutely.
The mayor then sending a message to some city council members about his choice for chief.
I think whatever agenda that they have, a couple of people on council have in regards to who they feel should be chief is on them.
And finally, the mayor demanding a thanks for the work the acting chief has done.
Here it
What I'm
comes.
going to tell you is that he has the qualification and he also has the record of why he's done a fine job for the city of Pittsburgh. And for that, Rick, you should say thank you. Say thank you, Rick. Say thank you, Rick. Can you say thank you?
Rick, it seems like
All right, guys.
Oh.
I had to find that video and I found it. Oh my gosh. I had to find it.
Man.
Boy, am I a genius, man. I found that video. I had it stored and then I couldn't find it. And I said, you know what? I'm going to find it somehow, some way here because everybody needed to hear that who didn't. So,
Oh
you know.
my gosh.
Oh, it's priceless.
Oh, it
it
is.
sure the hell is. And it's just like, it's like that movie Sybil a long time ago. You got 2 faces. One she's good and the other one she's bad. So right now it's like a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. I feel so bad for Ed because he knows he's cooked. He knows shit's going to come down on him. And he's just snapping on everybody. That's the thing, man. And that's
Okay, tonight on the way we see it here, and I know we're getting ready to wrap things up here in about 12 minutes here, but we're doing the greatest hits of Ed Gainey. We've been playing Ed Gainey clips all night long here, and also from City Council. This is Wednesday's meeting. Here's Anthony Coghill. Oh, hold on, I'm waiting for Corey Mosley to get done here. Hold on.
really do need to have some certainty.
This is Corey Mosley, and then we'll get into Anthony
of the
Coghill.
Police Bureau. I was not in any of those meetings or not aware of any, pressure or things that may have been applied. So I can't speak on that. I'm not going to speak out of school. I do think it's unfortunate that he arrived at a place where he believed that the situation become politicized. I look forward to reaching out with him, and I told him before he headed over to his press conference that I would like to have a conversation with him to get some more insight on how he arrived at that place, and what, made him feel like he was, making, he found himself in, I guess, what he described as an ethical dilemma. And I would hope that at some point, if he's comfortable, he would share that with the public as well, because I think that, only he can really provide that insight, of how he arrived there. And I don't want to speculate, from my point of view.
Anybody that's ever been in city council chambers, they have very bad acoustics.
I wasn't a part of to further kind of contribute, to this environment, that we find ourselves in right now, which is extremely unfortunate, for the city of Pittsburgh. I do agree with Councilwoman Kell Smith's, comments of trying to remove politics as much as possible, from this process when we're dealing with public safety. And I hope that we can get to a place as we get through these tough conversations that are inevitable, including this tough conversation that we're having around the table right now, that we can come together with the stakeholders to have a process that's transparent, that engages the public, but also finds the right leadership for the Bureau to continue our work, so that our communities are lively, that they're safe, and that they're prosperous.
I apologize, folks. I was trying to get Anthony Coghill on here, and I ended up with Corey Mosley.
And thank Chief Ragland
But he's next.
decades of service to the city of Pittsburgh.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Third round, Councilman Coghill.
Here we go.
Okay, so I'm only speculating here, right? As to why Chief Ragland feels he was pressured, all right? I do believe he's probably pointing that toward me. And in our meeting, I will tell you that we had at my office with Schmidt, Devine, Councilwoman Kill-Smith, and Charland, I stressed, and I still stress, and I don't know why he feels pressured about this. This is just the facts of today, I feel, after, our last chief. I stressed that it's important to me for him to win my vote, of course, 1 out of 9 votes that he to confirm him, that I wanted to make sure who he was having around him, meaning the assistant chiefs, meaning the commanders. I want to know who his hierarchy was going to be. Only because I was embarrassed as to the way things went down. And I don't know Chief Ragland that well. I can't say that I've known him like I know other people that are in the department, throughout the department. I will tell you this, not one conversation was had between me and another commander or anybody in any other rank as to a deal or something, nefarious or pressing Chief Ragland. I did stress that it's important for me to know who he's surrounding himself with. I think he felt like I was trying to fill those positions, or that he was being pressed into taking people in those positions. Again, nobody in particular, I will tell you. But yeah, I certainly wanted to know who he was going to put in the higher positions. I want to know who's going to pick up the phone for me as a public safety chairman. And if he doesn't understand that, that's just too bad. That is the politics of it. There was no quid pro quo here. Simply me stating that it's important, if you want to win my vote, to let me know who I will be calling in, whether it's the assistant chiefs, commanders, you name it, the hierarchy, as to who you're putting in these positions. If that's what scared him away, I'm sorry for that. It's a shame. And it just tells me he doesn't have the backbone for this job. But I will tell you this, all of those conversations were well before we all came to an agreement as to the 6 public safety meetings, okay? Chief Ragland was on board. Director Schmidt was on board. So what changed from that time till now? I will say, I don't know. I guess he is a better offer.
Indictment.
Okay, there you go, guys. Tony, we'll start with you.
Oh no, let Bill start because I want to finish this out.
Okay, go ahead, Bill.
Yeah. Just like Tony just jumped in there, says indictment. I think that's about as all as I can label this. I'm just like, everybody's reversing. Yeah. Ever have a bad transmission in a car where just reverse and neutral only working? That's all you do. That's what it seems. So, Brother Ralph, you know a lot more than I do. Brother Tony, you know way more than I do. So I just have to say is I go with the flow with everything that you guys are saying, because it's a shame on what's actually happened down at the city county building. And what's behind the scenes, what we're not seeing, what we're being lied about, that's the thing. And that's, it's just like, wow. I mean, that's what I got to say about this, because this can go on forever. But my goodness, I mean, okay, I'm done. I know I'm mumbling. I'm spinning my tires.
Tony,
that's a curious. I picked something up in that piece that I hadn't paid attention before, but it was Tony Coghill saying, "Hey, all these conversations was before the go around to 6 people, before this happened, like
for the 6 community meetings. Yeah, everybody was on board, right?
Happened?
Yes.
Well, I just explained to everybody what happened. See, that's where when you start picking up, wait a minute, out of the blue, he just resigns immediately.
Yeah,
What happened there? He's still the deputy chief. He still has a responsibility to lead us into at least the end of November when there's going to be an election, but he just quit.
Oh yeah.
Well, that should be a tell to everybody. And now that I just explained to you what I explained to you, it all makes sense. But here's for Anthony Coghill to say. Now, stick with me, guys, because I think differently because I've been involved. But for a city councilman who's probably now the longest standing with Teresa, to say, I didn't know about Chris Ragland. Chris Ragland has been in the administration for 25 out of his 30 years, and he rose all the way up to be deputy chief and acting chief. And for that councilman to say, I don't know anything about him, should be a big, giant red flag for everybody to realize, maybe his career wasn't as good as they're trying to make it up to be. Because how does that happen? You know what I mean? I'm not tooting my own horn, but everybody knows who the hell I am and what the hell I did. Because of the police work I was doing. That's a big deal. What I just heard right there.
Yeah, exactly.
And also that Kahari Mosley. What in the hell is he talking about? Did you hear that guy word salad his way right through that?
Yes.
He spent 5 minutes talking about nothing.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. He just had to, I guess, as they say, you got to put your 2 cents worth in. That's what he did. Corey Mosley there.
What are you talking about? 2 cents? That was about 5 pinto beans.
5 pinto beans. Yeah, exactly. It's more than 2 cents.
You know what I mean? He gave us a bunch of nothing.
Yeah, but something too, Mosley, if you see, he was kind of, if you see that video, he was kind of actually treading around that instead of going into deep waters, if you guys know what I mean.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I saw that. Okay, folks. Tomorrow night, 7:00, the Ralph's Opinion Show with me, Ralph Williams, live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and Twitter X platforms. Lots to talk about, including Trump's speech last week, which we missed. I had a long day on Wednesday, and I didn't feel like putting the show on. And I'm also thinking about possibly moving it to Streaker Radio or to Spotify. But Ralph's Opinion Show tomorrow, 7 p.m. And Tony, do you have any final thoughts before we wrap up?
Yeah, folks, it's election time. Get out there, look over your candidates.
Yes.
Pick the people who are going to serve you the best, not the political party that's lying to you. So I'm running for mayor. Everybody look me up at Pittsburgh's Tony Moreno on Facebook or just Tony Moreno. It's Moreno, like Rita or Omar. Thanks for having me on, guys. Godspeed.
All right. Have a great one,
You
Tony.
too, Tony. Take care. Thanks so much, buddy.
On Saturday.
All right.
All right. That was Tony Moreno, Republican candidate for mayor of the city of Pittsburgh. Please vote for Tony. He really is passionate about trying to become mayor. He's in the Republican Party, which really doesn't have much to say around Pittsburgh, but you can make that happen. If you're a Democrat and you really don't like what's going on, you don't like these progressives, do something about it and get them out. So
absolutely.
Your final thoughts on this show today?
Well, this was awesome, and Tony's very informative. And I hope the people who are watching or listening that whatever kind of vote that they think that they might have had for Gainey, listen to what this man has to say. He's 1,000% genuine. And as I always end my show with you guys, thank you guys so much for watching and listening, because you're the best part of the show. And we'll catch you next week.
Yeah, we'll be here next week as well in our regular time slot, 7:00, unless otherwise noted. Please check my social media platforms. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, Ralph Williams, RW Media. And also, please follow me on Twitter X platform. Help me. I need about 15 more followers to get to 200 for Twitter X platform. So please help me out with that. I already reached my 200 pinnacle. I'm over 200 now with the subscribers. Everything's low on both platforms. Please help me get up there. There's a bunch of people out here that have no talent, and they got 5,000 followers and 5,000 subscribers and all that stuff. Look, I put on some great shows here, RW Media Productions. Please don't have me have to tear this stuff down because I don't get enough of subscribers and whatnot here. And please subscribe. Also, please don't forget to listen to the radio shows that I have for you from RW Media Productions on Saturday. It starts with the Ralph Williams Show. Hang on a second here. My glasses are breaking again. There we go. The Ralph Williams Show with Ralph Williams, Tony Moreno Show, 12:50 a.m., 92.5 The Answer, every Saturday, 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. This Saturday, Chief Derek Turner from the Mon Valley Regional Police Department. I have some questions for him about the Palisades Plaza in Rankin. As you know, the owners there, they also own Montview Heights. Steven Zapala hauled them to the carpet, took them to court. They just got out of a federal court thing this week. So we're going to talk to him about that and the plans for the new police department moving forward. Also, don't forget 2 to 3 p.m., the Sports Corner radio show with me, Ralph Williams, Smoking Jim Frazier, Claudia Rosano, Luther Dupree. Kenny Pickett got traded, and guess, Bill, where he got traded to?
Where did he go? Don't say back. Where he was in Philadelphia, right?
Yeah. Guess where he got traded to?
Browns, Cleveland Browns.
Yes. Oh, man. Whoa. Whoa.
Hey, you had to hit the applause button on that for me.
I did. I did. Here, I'll tell you what. I'll hit it again. There you go.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. It's on the air horn.
There it is.
It's on the air horn because Kenny Pickett got traded. We'll talk about that Saturday as well. Also, the signing of DK Metcalf. And we have some more mock drafts and what the Steelers are up to in the draft. Pirates, Penguins, and a whole lot more with me, Ralph Williams, Smoking Jim Frazier, Claudia Rosano, and Luther Dupree. All right, Bill, any more thoughts before we wrap it up here?
No, you guys stay safe out there. Thanks so much for having us again and viewing and listening. And like I said, you guys are the biggest part of this. We appreciate you. We'll see you next week. See you, Ralph.
All right. Have a great one, Bill. Thank you. That was Bill Canatta, my co-host here on The Way We See It. I'm Ralph Williams, your host, and we'll join you next week at 7 o'clock. Don't forget this Wednesday, Ralph's Opinion. We have a lot to talk about. The Trump thing addressed to Congress last week, and I got some thoughts on that. And a whole lot more coming up. Don't forget RW Media Production programs on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, Twitter X platforms. You can also please follow me on Twitter X and also please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Until next week, have yourself a great one. Thank